Hello, hello! Welcome back to Brenda's Books. This is Season 2, Episode 33, and today I will narrate for you Chapter 39 and Chapter 40 of Sarah's War. Here we go. Chapter 39, The Doconizer. Wow, Randy, you really know what you're doing. I scrutinized Randy's impeccable camouflage job. A wide mesh net blankets the aid truck. The paint colors he mixed to match the terrain look exact. Shades cover anything reflective, and burlap is spread on the ground under the vehicle, concealing its shadows. He even added foliage brackets to attach vegetation. Randy tries not to smile too big. I was in country a long time before Big Rock, and I did a lot of things. Well, I appreciate it, I tell him. Nice job mixing the colors. There's no way I'd be able to match them so perfectly. Randy rolls his eyes. I'm sure you could manage, Doctor, he counters, wiping his hands off on a maroon cloth. So how did the ladies handle unloading everything? Randy hesitates and stuffs the cloth in his back pocket, leaving most of it hanging out. Fine. I grin. You helped them, didn't you? He smiles a little sheepish. Pretty girls can be pretty convincing. Is that so? I think it's just because you're a nice guy. Randy shrugs. Well, in that case, allow me. He lugs my backpack over his shoulder and picks up my duffel bag. After you, he says, motioning with his head to the hatch. Randy keeps pace with me as we saunter in that direction. We may be able to get the stuff unloaded, but we certainly can't organize like the Doconizer. The what? Randy chuckles and shakes his head. Never mind. No, I say, stepping in front of him and coming to a halt. There's no never mind here. It's just a name we made up for you. I fold my arms across my chest. Excuse me? It's not insulting. It's short for Dr. Organizer. You know, since you're so good at organizing. And so insistent on it, I assume. Randy shrugs. Yeah. Fabulous, I mutter. Hey, don't you ever give people nicknames? I purse my lips. Maybe. Aha! He points a finger at me. You do, I can tell. Do I have a nickname? He asks cheerfully. I fight back a smile. Depends on the day. What would it be today? I shrug. Probably Mr. Helpful. Randy rolls his eyes. That's exciting. I punch him playfully on the shoulder. Come on, Mr. Helpful. Let's go organize. Randy's face lights up with mock enthusiasm. My favorite! I chuckle as I open up the hatch. There's no ladder? Randy peers down the hole. Someone must have put it up. Hold on a second. He jumps in the hole, landing with perfect bent knees. He sets down my things and raises his arms, looking up at me. I'll catch you. I can jump too, you know, I say, taking a leap of my own. Randy ends up catching me anyway, although it ends up being more like a painful, awkward hug. Sorry, he mutters. You okay? I take a step back. Yeah, I'm fine. That was farther down than it looked. Randy nods. Oh, you know what? I forgot to lower the antenna on the truck. I'll go do that right now. We wouldn't want that thing catching fire. That could be bad, I agree. Randy grins. I'll be back. He places one foot high on the wall next to him and jumps up to grab the ground above his head. With one great pull-up, he crawls onto the dirt. Before I can compliment him on his ability, the hatch door slams shut. Wow, I murmur to myself. I turn a sharp corner and face the huge rectangular-shaped bomb shelter. I could divide this space into 50 clinic rooms, I bet, if I had the resources. The concrete walls and floors are much cleaner than I would have expected. I can hear the slight buzz of the generator at the far end, giving light to the rectangular fluorescent bulbs hanging from the ceiling. I glance around at the plethora of medical equipment, furniture, and tools, along with several of my nurses whom I haven't met yet. Molly and Kate stand in the corner, giggling with each other. All right, nurses, I say loudly. The Doconizer is here. Let's get to work. Molly and Kate exchange looks of amused confusion. Gurneys and curtains will go along this wall 6 feet apart. Place the IV stands at the far end of the line, then we'll stack the plastic pull-out drawers on the east wall, so the tools will be easily accessible. Let's set up the desks and files on the south. We can probably put the bigger things like ventilators and prosthetics next to them. The moving racks can go over here to my right, where we'll put the cleaning supplies. The mops can be stored next to the septic drain. Wow, I'm excited we have one of those. Isn't that great? I turn back to my nurses, only to receive blank stares in return. Well, hop to it, I say, with one loud clap of my hands. I want everything set up before this evening. Every nurse gets right to work. To my utter astonishment, I don't hear a single complaint from any of them. I even hear Kate whisper, "I love her labels." This makes me smile. Maybe the Doconizer isn't such a bad thing after all. "Where's Randy?" asks Molly, as she and I wipe down a ventilator. "I don't know," I say, glancing toward the entrance. "He should have been back by now." I get to my feet. I'll go check on him. "I'll come with you," Molly says. "I left something on the bus anyway." We pull down the retractable ladder to help ourselves out. I blink in the bright sunlight. I hear two distinct voices and instantly recognize them as Randy and Jack. I walk over to the aid truck, which now looks like a plant-infested winged bulldozer, where the two men converse. Molly walks right by both of them and out of sight, to fetch her things from the bus, I assume. "I'll see that it happens, sir," Randy says to Jack. "Thank you," Jack replies. Both get quiet as I reach them. "I'm sorry, am I interrupting something?" "We're through," says Jack. "I'm sorry to take your nurse away from you, doctor, but he's been very helpful." "He is helpful, isn't he?" I say, grinning at Randy and slapping him on the back. Randy fights a smile but fails. Jack glances between us, knowing that he's missing the joke. He clears his throat. "You two have a good day." "Goodbye, Colonel," I say. "Colonel," Randy nods. I watch Jack walk away with his classic stoic strides. Randy pulls my attention back way too soon. "It's so weird not being able to salute in country, right?" he says. "It feels wrong." I agree. So what was that all about? Randy takes a deep breath. "I'd like to tell you, but I give my word not to speak of it." "Of course," I mutter. "No one can tell me anything today." Randy shrugs. "I'm sorry. So where did Molly go?" "To get something from—" Before I can finish, an ear-splitting boom crashes through the sky. I see a flash of terror in Randy's eyes, and I know they're reflecting my own. We cover our ears and dash for the shelter. I have no idea where the explosion came from or where it was targeted. Soldiers scramble around, yelling things at each other. Boom! The earth shakes beneath us. Randy and I both stumble to the ground. With desperate effort, our feet find the hatch. Randy yanks it open. "Go!" he yells. I jump in and he follows right after, nearly landing on top of me. Several sets of terrified eyes are fixed on us. They're all sitting up against the side wall in between the gurneys. Without a word, Randy and I join them. No other bombs sound. No longer can we hear shouting outside, just our own shallow breathing. I try to clear my head. What is the best thing to do right now? Suddenly, Randy leaps to his feet. "I'll be back," he announces. Incredulous, I yell, "Randy, where are you going? You're not a soldier." "I'll be back," he shouts. The hatch opens and closes. Randy is gone. Chapter 40. It's starting. Several silent, terrifying, tedious minutes tick by. Dozens of soldiers join us in the bomb shelter. I stretch my neck to search the crowded room and start counting my nurses. 12 nurses from other platoons have arrived, so I should have 15 now, minus that rash Randy who decided to leave. Blast! I only count 13. Quickly I count again, this time visibly pointing at each nurse with my finger. 13 again. I take a deep breath as a wave of anxiety floods my chest. I don't know these nurses well enough yet to know who's missing. Kate's here, and... Wait, where is Molly? Oh no. Panic bubbles up inside my throat. Then it clicks. That's why Randy left. He went to find Molly. I knock my head against the wall behind me. Of course. He's going to kill himself looking for her. But I can't blame him. In fact, I admire his heroism. Boom! No! I pull my legs up to my chest and cringe into my knees. All of us rock as the ground shakes beneath us, and the fluorescent lights sway above us. We are so unprepared for this. The enemy completely caught us by surprise. They must have seen us coming. If only they had waited an hour, we might have been in position and ready to fight. What a ludicrous thought. This is not a board game where each team waits for the other to set up. This is a blasted war and there's nothing fair about it. It's all about taking advantage and going in for the kill. Literally. Boom! I smack my hands over my ears and squeeze as hard as I can. That one had to be close. For a moment, the walls shake so violently I think they might cave in. The brazen ringing in my ears is so loud I'm afraid I might have burst an eardrum. But this is good news. We fired back. That must mean something good is going on outside, and that someone might be pulling things together. I bet it's Jack. Jack! Is he okay? What if the enemy found out he is our leader and targeted him first? Ah! I cringe into my knees again. I wish I knew what was happening out there. Suddenly the hatch flings open, and in jumps Molly, sobbing herself to pieces. I hear Randy's voice from above. "A little help, please?" I scamper to my feet and run to the open door and look up at Randy. He's carrying a wounded soldier. His eyes are big and full of shock. Blood drips across his face. A large soldier appears at my side. "I got this." Randy sits on the edge of the door, and the soldier takes the wounded from Randy's arms. The man groans. Randy jumps in, slamming the hatch on his way down. "Bring him over to the nearest gurney," I order the soldier. "Randy, get me some bandages, please." Both of them obey. For the first time, I notice how many sobbing people there are in the room. I pull some clean gloves and disinfectant wipes out from the drawer under the gurney and start cleaning up the man's head. My guess is he collapsed on a rock or something when the blast hit. Randy arrives at my side with a box of bandages. He's bobbing his head and fidgeting with his hands. "Molly is in shock, Doctor." "Go help her then," I say, as I rip open a bandage. Randy dashes to the side wall and crouches next to Molly, who is still crying. Just then the hatch flies open again. A couple of soldiers jump in, then reach up to help carry down another who is injured. Here we go again. My heart accelerates, turning into a jackhammer inside my chest. It's starting. The flood of the wounded needing care. The rush of the dying needing life. "Calm down, Sarah," I chide myself. Think. "I need all of my nurses to come here," I announce, in my loudest voice. From all corners of the room, my nurses make their way toward me. Some hesitant, some sure. Now listen carefully. Nurse Jones, you are going to find out the condition of everyone who comes into this shelter. Kate nods her blonde head with vigor. Send them to any available nurse or myself. Make sure the most critical ones are cared for first. Obviously. Kate nods again. I speak quickly as I turn to the others. Now, the rest of you, I want each of you to get your own supply cart and claim a gurney of your own. If you know what to do to take care of your patient, just do it. You don't need my permission. If you're not sure, ask me. If I'm too busy, make your best guess, but make it the right one. Ask for an assistant if you need to, but work on your own if you can so more people can be cared for at the same time. If you really think someone isn't going to make it, bring that person to me. Now go!" Immediately, all the nurses disperse to various parts of the room. Molly is somewhat composed now, and she and Randy follow orders as well. Fortunately, there aren't as many wounded brought in as I expect. However, every single one of us is busy for the next couple of hours. The space reeks of blood and sweat and dirt and ammonia. Just as I think we're at the tail end of things, and that everyone is going to be all right and no one else is coming in, Kate comes to me with a sullen expression. "A man was just brought down the hatch, and I don't think he's going to make it, Doctor," she says, her voice cracking at the end. I rush over to the shelter's entrance and grimace at the sight in front of me. A bloody, grimy man lay flat on his back. Half his head is gone. Behind me, I hear Kate's quiet sobs. "You're right, Kate," I whisper. "He isn't. Will you have a soldier take him out, please?" "Yes, ma'am," she chokes. "Blast it all!" I scream in my head. "Blast this war!" I stare at the moths flittering around the bright lantern that sits on the cold concrete floor of the bomb shelter. Most of the company has gathered in the large space, filling it almost entirely. Everyone is still and quiet, yet our collective exhaustion and anxiety is tangible. Captain Barnett's deep, smooth voice fills the stale air. The scene reminds me of my childhood story times at the library, where all the children eagerly gathered round the large burly man who could move us to chills and giggles within the same moment. Chris's voice is even more soothing than the man in my memory. But instead of listening to fairy tales about frogs and princes, I'm listening to the casualties of war. Fortunately, the decoys we had in place misled the enemy just enough to avoid a direct hit on the camp. They hit about a mile off, but of course we felt the effects. The soldier we lost today was a spy who had been sent to scope out the enemy. He was fixing up the decoys when the enemy struck. Dr. Andrews and her nurses did an impeccable job assisting those who were closest to the blast. My lips curl up as I exchange glances with my nurses sitting around me. Randy and Molly lean on each other. Randy appears intent on what Chris is saying, but Molly appears to be in an entirely different world altogether.
"Thank you, Army Meds!"
someone exclaims in a loud voice. My eyes scan the large room packed with men and women in green camo uniform to find the voice. He sits against the back wall, raising his bandaged arm high in the air. I smile wide, as do my nurses. "Yes, thank you," Chris says in his rich voice. "We did suffer damage to some artillery, but nothing irreparable, and we all have men on site who can help us with that. Since we were the last company to arrive, we were the only ones not completely prepared. You may recall hearing 2 of our fellow companies fire back before ours did." What? I'm completely distracted by this information. We fired back 3 times? I thought it was the enemy who fired all of those cannons. Wow, things are better than I thought, it seems. No wonder there weren't as many people injured as I had expected. My thoughts are interrupted by an outburst of cheers and applause. The crowd erupts into a sea of pumping fists of victory above their heads. Oh no, what did I miss? I lean over to Randy to ask him, but Molly beats me to it. What's all this about? Randy grins as he answers her. One of our aircrafts bombed an enemy cannon. Whoa, this is big news. Go Lexi. Chris attempts to quiet everyone, but is having some difficulty. He sticks 2 fingers in his mouth and whistles a high, piercing pitch. Instantly the noise subsides, and all eyes turn their attention back to the captain. You all know this doesn't mean we can take it easy, but yes, it is good news, Chris says with a glimmering smile. Colonel Haskins has been communicating with the captains of the other companies almost every minute since we got things under control here. We have reason to believe that the enemy now knows what a large battalion we are. They know where we are then? Blurts a male soldier. Quite likely, says the captain. But the good news is we are everywhere. Colonel Haskins is now at the far end of the troops. The enemy most likely does not know just how spread out we really are. The colonel has ordered us to change some of our strategies. Some companies will continue to fight with cannons, but in a couple of days, our company will switch to more gunfighting. We can get closer that way and send in spies easily, but of course, it comes with other risks. A shiver spirals down my spine. It sure is a shame we've been cut off from so much technology, but that's the way it is. Today we have proven we can do it the old school way, the captain says with a smile. Now, we need to set everything up again at first light. We can't risk the enemy seeing firelight. Those of you who have been assigned to keep watch know who you are. Chris pauses to clear his throat. I'm proud of all of you. Try to get some sleep tonight. Shuffles and quiet chatter fill the room as we all hunt for space to lie down on the concrete floor. Our tents and beds will have to wait another day. And that concludes Chapter 40. I hope you're enjoying Sarah's War. I hope you come back next Thursday for Chapter 41, which is called Unforgivable Past. I wish you all a very happy week. If you want to find out more about Brenda's books, you can visit brendasbooks.net. Until next time, take care.